You mentioned Toller and Travian Blaylock, but it looks like both guys are out. I'm just curious, will Toller be available for camp? And what do both of those guys need to show you in camp in order to get on the field defensively and get in that rotation for you?
Yeah, I think we're anticipating both guys being back for fall camp. Obviously, Titus it's going to be a huge spring for him, just to continue to grow in the defense and for us to learn more about him. He missed a significant amount of time. Trey's just been a little bit just missing a couple practices here at the end. So for the most part, he was available this spring and able to take huge strides forward. They are two guys that bring that versatility, the ability to cover, the ability to play in space, but also a physical aspect at the line of scrimmage, blitzing, different things like that. So kind of opens up the world when you have guys like that. Sometimes it's a corner, right? You look at Natrell Jamerson, was kind of the same mold of, well, he played corner, he played nickel, and all of a sudden he kind of ends up in that safety position, and you use his athleticism to create some matchups that are, more in your favor, hoping to find guys that fit that mold.
I think you said before the 19 season, you thought Scott Nelson was ready to have a big year, and obviously that got cut short. So I'm just curious what you saw from him last year. And with regards to that injury, a lot of guys say it's a full year before you're really back to where you were. What have you seen from him this spring in terms of physically with that knee? Is he completely back and ready to build on what he did last year?
First off, I think he had a huge year last year. You look back at what he was able to do. Unfortunate that it got cut short because you just don't see players sustain it for that 12, 13, 14 games, right? Full season. And I think he was ready to do that. I mean, you just look at Michigan game alone, right? The first game he was back and you get an interception, first play of the game, right? Getting a TFL in the backfield. I think he was playing so much faster and more confident than he was even going into that year before. You felt he was ready to make that transition. Obviously, it got cut short, but he learned a lot from his freshman year when he was playing a lot of football, and it just took a while to come to fruition.
You ended up playing in 8 games last year, starting that one, or excuse me, in 2019. Last year was a weird year. Only played in 3. Did that kind of pause your development at all, not being able to get on the field as much in games last year? And what was your goal in the offseason about where you wanted to improve your overall game?
Well, I mean, obviously last year was tough for everyone, and I actually got COVID-19 when everyone kind of did, so I missed some time. So yeah, I took a little step back, but I think just being able to watch, and obviously I was still involved in all the game plans and stuff. I think my understanding of the playbook got better. Maybe on the field I didn't get enough experience, but my understanding of the playbook, which goes a long way. And then can you say, what was the second part of the question?
As you looked at, after the season was over, what you wanted to improve on individually, what were some of the things you said to yourself, I've got to work on these areas?
I would just say get my eyes in the right spot, being more sound. I think I have the ability to play. I just need to be more consistent with it. And now that I have that better understanding of the playbook and really understand the whole concept of it, I think I'm better equipped to be more consistent. So I think that was my kind of goal this spring, and it will continue to be my goal going into the season.
Last year was a weird year, COVID, a lot of injuries on offense. If someone were to ask you why this team is going to be better in 2021 than it was last year, what reasons would you give?
Well, I think a lot, we learned a lot last year, as a group. We learned a lot about guys who are back and guys who decided to come back. We learned a lot about ourselves. We grew. I think, the biggest thing this year is there's not separate groups in the locker room. What I really like this year is everybody is so close. Everybody's willing to talk to each other about things going on the field, things going on off the field. Leaders are not necessarily, leading out of fear. They don't want guys to respect them out of fear. But I mean, we just want them. We want leaders to be able to lead out of love, and we want guys to be able to follow out of love. And I think that's really the biggest difference that I've seen this year is guys are just so much closer. And, we just got to implement that onto the field also.
You mentioned your relationship with Scott. One thing you guys can definitely relate to is the knee injuries and what it's like to try to come back from that. Jim was saying that he sees Scott completely back now, being another year removed from that knee injury in 19. And I'm just curious for you, since you had a similar injury, what's it like mentally to try to get past that? Do you get to the point where physically you're the same player, if not better?
Yeah, it's a mental game, probably just as much, if not more, physically when you're battling and finally trying to get to where you wanted to be. Get back to normal, I would say. And I would say, for Scott, he's done a great job of just like he hasn't even watched the play from when he tore his knee. And I think for him, that's a great thing, because mentally, I mean, if you see that play over and over in your head, I mean, you might, play a little less, less aggressive in certain things. I mean, he doesn't let that, bother him, or he doesn't let that, even get into his mind. So he's done a great job of that. And then just playing. And, I would say he's 100% back. I don't even think, I forget that he has knee surgery sometimes. So, I mean, really the difference is just making sure that you can just go full speed, full aggressive. And, once you're, playing full speed, in an actual game, that's when you really know. And Scott has really stepped up last year as a, physical tackler again. And, I love to see it. I'd say he's back.
You look to be playing well in the spring in the practices we could see, and it looked like you turned the ankle last week. What's running through your mind when you're playing well and you're going to have to miss more time again?
Oh, it's definitely frustrating for sure. But I could say that this ankle that I'm dealing with is nothing compared to what I've had to deal with before. So I'm optimistic about it, and we have great trainers downstairs, and they do a great job of, I get in every day. They give me something to do every day, and it's getting better. It's continuing to get better. And this time that we have off after spring is over, just being able to rest a little bit, go back home with my dad and train with him. And I'll be ready for the summer, but it is frustrating. I will say it's frustrating, but at the end of the day, that's the game of football. So you just got to move forward from that. So.